Well, inflation is soaring to new heights. Prices reached a four-decade high last month. The Consumer Price Index increased 7.9% annually. That, by the way, the sharpest spike since 1982. It's also a rise from 7.5% in January. President Biden says today's inflation report is a reminder that Americans' budgets are being stretched by price increases, and families are starting to feel the impacts of that conflict.
Niall Stanage from our partners at The Hill joins us live. He is their chief White House columnist. Hashtag Putin price increase, I feel, is the view of a life ring for the White House.
Yeah, absolutely, Leland. I mean, the White House is looking at this as a way to blame this spike in gas prices on Vladimir Putin specifically and on the situation in Ukraine more broadly. Now, there is an obvious problem with that argument, which is that, as you and everyone else in America knows, these prices have been rising for some time. It's months ago that we were told that inflation was going to be transitory. That word was retired from use around about December, and inflation not only still with us, but still going up.
Interestingly enough, we had a soundbite ready to play from Jen Psaki back in early last year saying inflation was going to be transitory and the like. But then today, she said almost the same thing. Take a listen.
The inflation numbers that we received today show consumers paying almost 8% more than a year ago, and this was before Russia's invasion of Ukraine. So how much higher does the administration expect prices to climb?
We have seen the increase, happen as a result of Russia's invasion of Ukraine. We do anticipate that gas prices and energy prices will go up. That is something that the president has conveyed very clearly to the American public. We also believe it will be temporary and not long-lasting.
So we've gone from transitory to temporary?
We have, and interestingly, Leland, there was at least a contradiction in tone between what Jen Psaki said in that clip you just played and what Janet Yellen, the Treasury Secretary, is predicting. Secretary Yellen is talking about 12 months from now of there being inflation at uncomfortably high levels, was her word for it. So, I mean, obviously, inflation is difficult to predict. I'm not denying that. But the White House still has not quite got its messaging clear on this very important issue.
It may be hard to predict impacts of inflation in the average household right now, $275 a month. If you price in, looking forward, the current rise in oil that we've seen, it could be as high as $300, $350 a month. We put up the chart of how prices have risen over the past year, things like eggs, bacon, basic food items that people are paying more and more for. That's looking backwards. Putin's price hike didn't have anything to do with it, that you pointed out. This would be the question. The American consumer can understand, oh, we get a lot of oil from Russia, prices on oil and gas go up, we can forgive that. How does the White House plan to message when the prices of everything else start really skyrocketing again?
With great difficulty is the short answer. The White House would rather talk about other elements of President Biden's economic record, like job creation. On the inflation front, it is clearly the biggest problem politically that the White House faces. It's one of the issues on which President Biden rates the worst. And I think there's an obvious reason for that, Leland. Inflation, unlike the job market, is felt by everybody immediately for exactly the reasons that you just outlined. It affects the price of bread, the price of meat, the price of a grocery run. That is a problem. The job market matters if you've been fired or if you're looking for work, but if you're in a job, and happily so, you're not really so personally affected. Inflation's not like that. Inflation goes right to everybody right away.
Yeah, and it goes to the poorest Americans and the middle-class Americans the most, who are exactly the swing voters that Joe Biden and Democrats need come November. Austin Goolsbee, a former advisor to President Obama, was talking about how he didn't think it was going to be over by November for the midterms. Hey, Niall, it was good to see you. Thank you very much.
Always a pleasure.
Yeah, pleasure's all ours.
Thanks for watching. Click the red subscribe button below so you can get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.